Welcome to Politics Unplugged. I'm Anne Trujillo. Governor Jared Polis is wasting no time getting down to business. A week after taking the oath of office and outlining priorities in the State of the State address, Colorado's new governor came out with his first budget proposal. The plan includes a $227 million investment in full-day kindergarten. Right now, the state only pays for half days. The governor also wants to set aside $30 million to fund the Colorado Water Plan to help mitigate drought in rural parts of our state, and $3 million to institute a paid parental leave program for all state workers. Well, back with us today is Marianne Goodland, the chief legislative reporter for ColoradoPolitics.com. So thank you first for being here. You know more about the legislature. I'm just going to tell you all. She knows more about the legislature than many of the lawmakers out there. Is this budget doable as you see it right now?
It's doable. The question is whether it's sustainable. The $227 million that he wants for full-day kindergarten, they can cover that relatively easily with the budget, with the revenue surplus that they have in the upcoming year, and they can probably even cover it in the following year. But the Senate Democrats on the Joint Budget Committee said, how are you going to pay for this down the road? And they have a real concern about that because economists, both from the Legislative Council and the governor's office, have said we're overdue for a recession.
Right.
And so you add a program that large, and you need to find a way to pay for it past the first couple of years. And Polis's budget didn't suggest how this would be paid for in outlying years.
Another point that I think a lot of people have raised about his budget and the State of the State address is really not addressing the transportation issue, which has been huge in our state.
Correct. His budget proposal had nothing in it for transportation. He wants to continue on with what Governor Hickenlooper had in his budget proposal, which basically is a continuation of the legislation that was passed in 2018. They've got $495 million that they want to put into transportation this year, and there's going to be a ballot measure, likely to be a ballot measure in the fall, to bond for those projects. So the state can raise, $3 billion or whatever they're going to do to pay for a lot of these road and transportation projects. But there's no extra money in the Polis budget presentation for addressing transportation, and both the Senate and the House are very concerned about this.
Yeah, because this is causing angst not just among Republicans, but also some Democrats, correct?
That's correct. The Speaker of the House yesterday on Thursday did a presentation for the Colorado Chamber of Commerce. This is a group that used to be known as the Colorado Association of Commerce and Industry. And they had about 400 people there, and she said, let's de-Bruce. The state has got some extra revenue this year that she says is money that taxpayers have already paid into the government, and the government wants to keep it. And so her proposal is to take that money, it's about $350 million in this upcoming year, and use that for things like transportation.
How do you de-Bruce?
You ask the voters. And we've actually done this before. This was done back in 2005. It was known as Referendum C. And this had broad bipartisan support. Governor Bill Owens supported it, so did the Democrats. And voters approved the state keeping that sort of extra revenue over a period of a couple of years. Now, I spoke to Speaker of the House Becker on Friday, and she said had the state not done that temporary debrucing, that would have been about an $8 billion switch. And given that we headed into a recession not very long after that, that saved the budget from being more painfully cut than it was. Her proposal, she's kind of going back and forth about whether she wants to do this as a permanent debrucing where they would never
get rid of it altogether?
Get rid of Tabor tax refunds. It wouldn't get rid of Tabor. It would just get rid of the Tabor refunds. Okay. Or whether she's going to do it as a temporary debrucing, similar to what was done in 2005.
Okay. So we will be watching
this is in very, very preliminary discussions, but the initial reaction, at least, is pretty positive from the business community.
Okay, let's talk about the adoption of electric vehicles. We know Governor Polis was big on this during his run for governor. Do you see support for that? Do you see support from both sides? I mean, I know Republicans said, let our free markets work, Mr. Governor. Stop taking your cues from California.
Well, he did it as an executive order, so it's one of these things where the Republicans may object to it, but there's not a whole lot they can do about it. So he signed this executive order on Thursday that opens the door for more importation of electric what they call zero emissions vehicles, and we'll just have to see about what kind of reaction that gets from the market. I mean, the market's going to be the one that determines whether or not people like these vehicles and are going to embrace it in a big way, which is what he's hoping for.
We have 30 seconds left. What other interesting bills do you see coming up?
I always love talking about the bills that kind of make me scratch my head and go, huh? You need a bill for that? And the one that I have for us this time is one about hanging a copy or displaying a copy of the state constitution in the state capitol. First, it isn't on display.
It's not done.
It's not there now. And the fact that you need to pass a law to display what's a foundational document of our democracy seems like a strange thing. But the reason that they have to do a bill for this is because it's going to cost money to display this, to make a permanent display. And that's what a couple of our state lawmakers are working on.
Okay. Well, keep us posted on all of these. Marianne Goodland, thank you so much, as always. All right, we'll be right back.